our postmodern age of division, anger, anxiety, and confusion, the most dangerous weapon you have is your own mind.
Take control! Question everything!
This is the Intellectual Freedom Podcast.
Okay, I want you to imagine you are walking into a massive, silent room. The walls are lined with millions of scrolls. You know, like those old scrolls you've seen in historical movies or like Raiders of the Lost Ark. And on the floor, though, as you look across the floor, scattered like leaves are thousands of scripts. Think movie script. Think thousands of movie roles. One script is titled The King. One script is titled The Beggar. Another, The Lion. Another, The Tyrant. And a voice just tells you, pick one. Pick one. But there's a catch. The catch is this. Once you pick it, you have to live it. No matter what's in that script, you have to live it. You have to suffer every single line that is written in the script. You cannot change the channel. You cannot walk out of the theater. There are no do-overs. So you think, man, if I got to do this, I'm going to run everything. So you decide to pick the Tyrant because the cover looks cool. That script is pure leather, Italian leather, gold embossed, elegant. Doesn't hurt that, well, being the man promises wealth and power, but as with everything, that snap surface decision has consequences. Because unfortunately, you didn't realize, because you didn't read the whole thing, you saw the flashy cover, that on page 50, that you're destined to eat your own children. By then, though, it's too late. The script is running. So a general question, if I place you in a room and you could change the script of your life, what would you choose? Do you have the wisdom to pick up the right life? Or will you be dazzled by the flash? Will you grab the shiny object? Movie star, maybe. Social media influencer. Tech titan billionaire. President of the United States. Which shiny object? Which one would you choose? If you could do anything. This isn't hypothetical. According to Plato, this is the final exam of your soul. Welcome to the end of the line. Welcome to the myth of Get back to it, I promise. But first, welcome back. You have made it. The end, the final book inside of Plato's Republic. It's been, oh my goodness, about 2.5 months, week by week. We have been ripping through Plato, sometimes slogging through Plato, but we made it. And if you've been along the entire time, like many of you have, congratulations. I mean, told you in the first episode, this was not going to be easy. And if you read along the entire time, wow, just wow. Kudos to you. Kudos to you anyway, if you're just following through on the podcast, because you're exploring something deeply. And if I'm going to be honest, I'm super happy myself and stoked that this is finally the last episode. I'm ready to close that book again. I'm so glad I did it. I really enjoyed myself personally going back through this and diving into it more. But however, if you're just brand new and you just somehow stumbled upon us today, welcome. You can always start over from the first episode in this series, or heck, if you just prefer, stay right here and enjoy. I'm just glad to have you. But think back about the road we've walked together. Here's a huge overview in 30 seconds. Book 1, we started down the Piraeus, remember? We're arguing with Thrasymachus and whether justice is just a scam for suckers or not. So it was decided the topic needed serious consideration, and that took us into books 2 through 4, where we built the city, an ideal city, a just city. We found the tripartite soul, reason, spirit, appetite. Then we moved on, books 5 through 8. We climbed out of the cave. Remember, we saw the sun. We had our red pill moment. We saw truth and reality for the first time, unfiltered. And if we were in a Hollywood film, it would have ended there happily ever after, but it doesn't. Books 8 through 9, we watched the world collapse, eventually into tyranny. We profiled the wolf and realized that man with absolute power is actually a slave to his own addiction. We have proved that justice is better for this life. There are no substitutes, but Socrates is not quite satisfied yet. He's looking at the clock. He knows the game isn't over when the body dies, and he wants to prove that justice is better not only for this life, but for eternity as well. So today, we're just talking about politics. We're going to go metaphysical here, and we're talking about the digital mirage, the immortality of the soul, the ultimate choice. You know, just a few light topics here to close things out, right? I mean, why slow down now? Let's ramp it up. Let's take this thing all the way to the end. So let's finish this. Now, right out of the gate, Socrates does something that drives modern readers crazy. He returns to the poets, the artists, the playwrights, the media makers, and he banishes them again. Why? Why does he hate the artists so much? And here's the reason. And I think we got to get this because it has very relevant modern implications. Socrates believes, and Socrates would argue with you, that the poets and the artists and the media makers, they traffic in illusion. He gives this famous metaphor of the 3 beds. So the form is number 1, and there is the idea of a bed. This is truth made by God in nature, called the form. Then we have the object. This is the physical bed you sleep in. I'm at a desk right now. It's wood. It's real wood. It's physical. Sleep in it. It's made by a carpenter. This is a copy of the idea. And then we have the image. That's an artist. That's a painting of a bed. It's an illusion of a bed. And so Socrates says that the artist is 3 steps removed from reality. He doesn't know how to make a bed. He doesn't know the form of a bed. He just knows how to mimic the appearance of what a bed may look like to trick your eye. He can put it in a painting, in an image. So the artist creates this image. It's nothing real. He sells it for real dollars. But in essence, he's selling an illusion, is he not? He's selling nothing for, well, something, real dollars. He's selling nothing for something, real dollars, which can then wield power and influence over people in ways based on an illusion. Look, I'm a humanities guy. I love art. I love philosophy. I love architecture and sculpture. But if I stop to think about it, for sure, I get what Socrates is saying, even when I think he's pushing out there to extremes, but I surely want to give him his due and entertain his position. And I guess in many ways, Socrates, in a modern context, could say social media. He's predicting the imitative state of social media, the illusion of social media. So if you're reading along, you see this 100 grand word inside the book, Simulacra, and that is what he's referring to. Think about it. When you scroll Instagram or TikTok, what are you looking at? Are you looking at real life? Real, unfiltered life? Of course not. Of course not. Go down even one more level. And are we at least looking at a copy of life? No. You're not even looking at that on TikTok, Instagram. You are looking at a curated, filtered, edited image of a copy of life, an illusion of life. Oh, sure, influencers want you to believe this is their real self, their true being, and this is them, unfiltered and real. But come on. You and I know when the camera is rolling, they are not the same person as they are when the camera is turned off. They're giving you a fictional creation. You are looking at a shadow of a shadow. And Socrates warns us, if you feed your soul on content, on these shallow images, you destroy your ability to see the truth. You start to think the filter is reality. You start to think the highlight reel is the standard. And you become miserable because you're trying to live inside a painting. You're trying to live up to the expectations of a painting. You're chasing dreams and illusions that even if someday you happen to catch one of these dreams, even fleetingly, after you do catch it, you're going to be gravely disappointed. And then you're going to go after another one. Because at the end of the day, at the end of your life, it simply won't. It doesn't matter because it's an illusion. It is not real. But why does this matter anyway? You may be thinking. Tired of this guy harping on this topic. Who cares if we watch trash TV or scroll for hours? Socrates has an answer for you. And he says, because you are immortal, you are gloriously made. He argues that the soul is not like the body. Disease kills the body, but vice, injustice does not kill the soul because it can't die. But what it does do is twist it. And because the soul doesn't die, it will carry those scars, not for a week, not for a month, not for a year, but forever. He gives us this haunting image, the Sea of Glaucus. Imagine a god. And in the Greek Parthenon, there were many, many, many gods. Imagine a god who's at the bottom of the sea, bottom of the ocean for 1,000 years. He's covered in barnacles, seaweed, rocks, mud. His body is just battered by the waves. And if you pull him up from the depths of the ocean, he'd look like a monster, not a god. That's us. That's your soul, covered in the barnacles of, I want this. I need that. Look at me. I have to buy this. If only I was in charge. This. You get it. Those little inner statements we tell ourselves. Philosophy, deep thinking, is an act of scraping off the barnacles to Socrates. But how? How do you actually do that on a Tuesday afternoon? It's too abstract. It's too vague. Yeah, whatever. Whatever, Dr. Hopkins. Yeah, what I need to do is philosophy and deep thinking. Sure, that's it. Well, it starts with the trade. You have to trade the feed, the internet feed, for the form. You have to put down the phone which is just a machine designed to cover up your barnacles of envy and noise, and pick up that old dusty book. Why? Why? Because books, like the Republic, they are not just paper. They are chisels. They are tools you use to hack away the lies. And once you have that tool in your hand, you go to work on your own life. You know, there's nothing more annoying to me than the individual who's fat and overweight saying, well, all you got to do to get in shape is this. Or the broke person telling me, well, geez, if you really wanted to make a smart financial move, here's what you should do. Or the 4-time divorcee telling me, man, you don't know how to manage your relationships at all. If I were you, this is the way I would do it. Don't go to those. Don't watch video shorts on that. Don't go to TikTok. Don't go to any of that. Don't go to a 23-year-old who's going to tell you how to fix something that they haven't even lived in their own life yet. You don't need that kind of advice. What you need is tried and true wisdom from some of the greatest minds that have ever lived. That's why you go to the books. And that's why you stay away from the superficial fluff. So the ego check, when you get cut off in traffic and you feel that rage, that desire to scream and honk, stop. Use the book. Remember what Socrates said about the lion in your chest? Just ask, is this justice? Or is this just my little ego feeling disrespected? It's the ego. Scrape it off. Let it go. When you feel that desperate need to buy the new car, or post the selfie, or get the promotion, stop. Use the book. Remember the supermarket of the soul? Do I actually want this? Or have I been programmed to want it by the marketing algorithm? It's the algorithm. Scrape it off. Don't buy it. Don't do it. You turn off the noise. You sit in a room alone with the text, and you let the wisdom of the dead wash away the noise of the living. I promise you, you'll be more calm, more focused, more analytical, more open-minded with a greater perspective. That pause, that moment where you choose the book over the feed, that is how you find your soul again. If this sounds too well, academic guy telling you to read, challenge you, just try it. Substitute that instant gratification, social apps, cable news, other short-term stuff for real tangible knowledge and wisdom that puts you in contact with just you. You do not need to spend $499 on a self-help program. Go to the library, check out a book for free. This will build that mental muscle and scrape away the weaknesses, and then you will see the crazy world in a way that the average person does not, simply cannot see. The myth of This is the grand finale. This is the original near-death experience story. Socrates tells a soldier named who dies in battle. 12 days later, while he's lying on his own funeral pyre, he wakes up miraculously. He's been to the quote-unquote other side, and he's being sent back as a messenger. And he describes this unbelievable cosmic system. He saw souls going up into the sky for reward and down into the earth for punishment for 1,000 years. But after that 1,000 years, they all meet in a meadow. And this is the terrifying part. They have to choose their next life. So this brings us to those scripts. And so the fates take a handful of lots, quote unquote lots, they're called, or scripts, and they throw them on the ground. And the fate says, the blame is his who chooses. God is blameless, end quote. And her watches all the souls, they all step up to choose, hundreds and hundreds of them. The first guy who lived a decent life but had no philosophy in his life, he runs up, he sees the script titled Absolute Tyranny. He sees the wealth, he sees the power, he sees the shiny cover. He grabs it immediately without thinking, and only after he chooses it does he read the fine print. Destined to eat his own children and suffer terrible miseries. He screams after he sees this. He beats his chest. He blames chance. He blames the gods. But he doesn't blame himself. He chose the flash. He chose the blinky blink because he didn't have the wisdom to read the script. And then ere he sees the hero, Odysseus. Oh, that wily veteran Odysseus. The man who has seen everything. And Odysseus, unlike our first soul, he walks around very carefully, looking, thinking. Seems like he's out for some specific script, and he ignores the king's scripts. He ignores the rich men's scripts. And finally, in the far corner of the room, of the meadow, he finds a script that was neglected by everyone else. And it says, he dusts it off. I can see him like dusting it off. And it says, the life of a private, quiet man. A man who does his own work and minds his own business. Odysseus picks it up and says, quote, I would have chosen this one even if I had the very first pick, end quote. Here's the extraction. This is the download that bridges the gap between the ancient myth and the modern listener's life. It turns out Odysseus's choice from a weird detail into the ultimate counterculture statement. I would have chosen this one even if I had the first pick. I just want that to really sink in. He chose the script of the quiet individual who minds their own business. And this person would have chosen this one no matter what. Now stop and don't miss this. This is the punchline of the entire book. Think about who Odysseus is. And I know many of you have already heard the name. He's the ultimate main character in classical Greek mythology. He is the guy, won the Trojan War, guy who outsmarted the Cyclops, guy who sailed the world, became a legend. He has main character syndrome written into his DNA. He has seen some stuff. He has done some stuff. He has accomplished some stuff. He's also suffered some stuff. Serious stuff. But when he sees the scripts on the floor, he walks right past the king. He walks right past the rich man. He walks past the general. He picks up the script of a private man who minds his own business. Why? Because he's the only one in the room who is actually awake. He has suffered out his ambition. He has realized that the big life, the life of the influencer, the CEO, the politician, it's actually just a trap. It's a stress. It's vanity. It's paranoia. It's all wrapped up in some shiny, pretty cover. And he realizes boring life, the quiet life of just doing your work, loving your family, staying out of the spotlight, doing what you love to do. It's the only life that's free. It's the ultimate red pill. See, we live in a culture that screams at you to be famous, to be a brand, to be an icon. And here's the wisest man in history telling you, let them have the crown. Let them have the likes. Let them have the stress. The real prize is peace. The real prize is peace. So, my friends, let me say this directly to you. You walk this planet one time only. For goodness sake, you do not need fame, glory, power. You need that thing that makes you happy, content, and at peace. Whatever that it is for you, that is what you need to do. If you say, but I have no idea what that thing is yet, well, then your call and your it right now is to figure it out. You get one life to do it, but you're not going to figure it out doing the same thing over and over again. You know isn't the thing, right? If you don't know, well, guess you better go for it. Figure it out. Read, write, study, try new things, talk to new people, switch around jobs that interest you, try living in different places. I don't know what that looks like for you. But I do know this. If you're going to do it, and you're not doing it now, and you're continuing down the same path that you are on right now, you're going to lead a life of regret and failure. You are going to walk this planet one time. Go for it. So, I got a little bit off track. Not that much, but here we are. Why do we do this? Why do we read this heavy book? Why do I do these podcasts? Why do we listen to the podcasts like this? Well, why not just watch dancing cats on TikTok? Because there's something in you that drives you towards this. Because at the end of the myth, the end of the souls, every one of them, they have to march through a burning desert to get to this river of forgetfulness. And this is the last part of the myth. So they choose their life. They're led to this river. It's so hot and it's so burning. And so every one of them are thirsty as they approach this river. They're exhausted by this point. And they're told to drink. But here's the trick. They're told if you drink too much, you'll forget everything you have ever known in your past life. Forget the lesson, forget the wisdom. And what do you suppose would happen if you lived an entire life, died, and then your entire mind is wiped clean of all experiences, all knowledge, all trials, all tribulations, all that stuff that you went through? It's all wiped, gone. It's as if you're starting over from scratch again. And you're born with your new script. Do you suppose there's a very high probability that in your next life, you would probably make the exact same mistakes again that you had made in this life? You would revert back to the same average sheep status quo existence? You think you'd be right back status quo and then suffer the same misery or regret? Probably so. Probably so. You don't even have to die, have your mind wiped, and come back. Some of you have been doing the literal exact same thing for years, some of you decades, and you know it's not what you want to be. You're not where you want to be. You're not doing what you want to do, but yet it's like you went down to this river and you overdrank and you're back in the same spot that you were before. But Socrates, the philosopher, the man who has trained his reason, says those that have the intellect will drink just enough to survive. They're not going to let the appetites overindulge them. If they're a philosopher, they are going to do just enough to survive so that they can keep that memory, so that they can stay awake. And this is the why. This is the why. You need your mind. You have to sharpen your mind. Without your mind, you have nothing. We live in a world that is designed to make you numb, make you forget, make you focus on inane stupidity or outrage bait or just zombie walk to, well, just forget and comply. The algorithm is like that river. The 24 news hour cycle is a burning desert. Everything is trying to make you forget who you are, forget what is good, and forget that you have a soul. Deep thinking is the act of remembering. We read so that when we stand in that meadow, when the scripts are thrown down in front of us, we don't just automatically, without thinking, grab the tyrant. We have the wisdom to pick the good life. So this book is closed. The Republic is finished. But the choice is yours. We're all standing in this meadow. Make good choices. Stay alert. Stay awake. I'm Dr. David Hopkins. I want to thank you so much for taking this journey with me, and I will see you in the next series.